All right, goals update so far this week. I've run 12 miles and swam 1 whole kilometer. The kilometer was a bit of a fiasco. I did it at the pool, during open swim, mistakes were made. Imagine the scene from Finding Nemo where all the fish in the net are kind of going crazy before Nemo organizes them. And I'm trying to swim through that in a straight, efficient line. It was a mess. Lessons learned. As for my other goals, weight loss, I'm now at 187. And according to the app I'm using, Lose It, it tells me I need to eat less calories every day now, even more than what I already was. So the deficit's gotten bigger. Needless to say, I'm hungry. I haven't had a donut in weeks. And with that, Stacy, let's get it started. So you may have noticed I'm posting the runs during the week, or I should say Stacy is, she's the magic, which puts these a little out of order. You're gonna have to deal with it. We do realize they're out of order. It's nature of the beast. But I'm hoping seeing these runs is interesting. And if not, well, we'll figure it out eventually, so bear with us. As for the Friday videos, which would be today, I'm hoping to give you more of the story of what's next, what we're planning to do, or what has already happened. And today's is a little more boring but educational. I'm hoping to share a story with you all about how I started my journey about a year ago, or when I was thinking about starting my journey. But I'm also hoping to give you more than just some bald guy running through the countryside at a really slow pace. So with that, let's do a little time warp. Back to the beginning. Okay, not the beginning. About a year ago. It was January, and I decided it was time to start getting back into shape. Due to some life circumstances, my health had gotten away from me a bit. I wasn't doing myself any favors, and if I continued down that road, I was only going to get worse. And, well, full disclosure, I want to live forever, so I needed to fix it. I needed to find something to get me back into shape. And I chose running. Running's cheap. But I also needed motivation to run besides the whole live forever. Back to goal 3, don't die. The first thing I decided to do was sign up for a half marathon. Giving myself a timeline and having to pay money for something is one sure way to motivate me to accomplish it. I don't like to waste money. It's as bad as wasting food. I wanted a race that would include a small trip for me and Stacy. Trips are exciting. It would be a nice getaway. And also, I had this mindset of, hey, let's invite other friends along that might have the same goal, and we make a fun weekend out of this. Yes, for about 1 second, I thought inviting friends to run a half marathon would be as enticing as a donut on a Sunday morning.
The problem with you is, you're completely delusional. Turns
out, it's more like committing cats to joining synchronized swimming competition. Or basically what I swam through earlier this week. Oh, no! So I needed a hook because half marathon wasn't it. And oh boy, did I find one. I was able to find a race in Napa Valley that had an all-you-can-taste wine tasting. I had found my in, or maybe my cell. We can all go to Napa, we can party all weekend. And oh, by the way, guys, just one morning, we just have to do this one little thing. Let's just run 13 miles. Surprisingly, this actually worked. I managed to convince a couple of friends, my daughter and her partner, who had both recently turned 21, to come along. It was set. We had a plan.
I love it when a plan comes together.
I had a weekend ready to go. I had a reason to start running, and I had some motivation. And now I even had a support group. And it didn't matter to me that their motivation was wine. The race was in June, now the easy part. Or so I thought. Time to start running. Now, full disclosure, I have run 2 half marathons before, about a decade ago. Y'all remember that picture where I thought I looked sexy? That one. Yeah. Thank you, Stacy. Yeah. I have done this before, but it was a long time ago. And back then, I didn't train for half marathons. I was in shape. Friends wanted to do them. I just went along. I did the whole, can I run such and such distance without training BS we see on YouTube now, before it was cool. Trendsetter. But due to this, I had a dilemma. I honestly had no idea how to train for a half marathon, especially in the current shape I was in. I didn't know how to start, so I did what everybody does. Google. I also searched app stores, and I tried to find whatever would work. Ultimately, I wanted to find something cheap, preferably free. That is the cheapest way I can go. And I didn't want to have to pay for an app or have to hire a trainer. And after a bit of research, I struggled to find anything, but I decided to try an experiment. I decided to try ChatGPT. And after a few trial and errors, I gave ChatGPT some basic information about myself, what my goals were, what my current level of fitness was, or at least what I imagined it was, and also what my schedule was going to be. And it actually produced a workout schedule for me. I also used it to make a workout schedule for my daughter. The plan had me starting to run about 1.5 miles 4 times a week at about a 13-minute pace, which I thought originally seemed very, very tame. Of course, I had these false memories from 10 years ago that, hey, this is easy. I was still delusional, in other words. But I set out and I followed the plan. And honestly, the pace seemed slow, painfully slow. My imagination when I was out there running ran wild about the slow Baywatch scene or the Chariots of Fire theme, the bum 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 bum. I was actually embarrassed to be seen running outside. It was that slow. And then I got to my first long run, and it was 4 miles. And at the end of that 4 miles, well, at least for me, ChatGPT nailed it. It kicked my butt. I continued my training up until the race. A couple of my friends had some issues, real life stuff that came up, and they had to back out. So it ended up being just me, my wife, my daughter, and her partner. And we all set off to Napa. It was still a great weekend. My daughter and her partner completed their first half marathon that weekend. Whether they'll do any more, who knows? And of course, though, in the middle of this half marathon, as we're running along through all the grapes, my daughter looks at me and says, I didn't train for this at all. Ought to be young. After that race, I signed up for 4 more races to keep my motivation up. I ran 5 half marathons last year. I've got the medals in the background to prove it. Every race, I placed near the bottom of my age group, but I was finishing. And I did this all, and this is the most important thing for you all to take away from this video. I did this all while fueling on donuts. Literally. As I've already spoken about the weight loss part back in my first video, I thought we should talk about how having the wrong mindset while running or any workout and food can sabotage weight loss. I think this next part is very important for those of you who want to take up running and to get into shape. When I started running, my resting heart rate was in the 70s. My VO2 max, according to the Garmin, was poor. And honestly, my mile time, if I pushed hard, would maybe be about 11 minutes for 1 mile. Not multiple. I also weighed 198 pounds when I started my running journey. Yes, you heard that right, for those who have been following along. I weighed about 12 pounds less when I started my half marathon training. I like stats, so I made a Excel spreadsheet to track my miles. And from last January to December, I ran 1,054 miles and I gained 12 pounds. I'm honestly the only person I know who can run close to 100 miles a month and gain weight. Donuts are not fuel. Tasty, but not fuel. It wasn't all bad though. My resting heart rate improved. I was now in the high 50s. My VO2 max improved. And my race times even started to get better. I actually set a personal best on one of these races at just under a 10-minute mile for a half marathon. But I managed to gain weight while doing this, and I know it wasn't muscle. I want to share this because I think a lot of people take up running to lose weight and actually eat more because of the mindset of, hey, I just ran 5 miles today, I can eat this extra thing. I did this. And on days where I had a half marathon, I would buy half a dozen donuts, and I was literally running on donuts. I was doing better training for a donathon than any type of marathon. All while justifying this with, hey, I'm gonna run 13 miles today. I think this mindset sabotages people. While you should eat a little bit more when working out for fuel, it's so easy to justify overeating. And not only did that, I had the problem of underestimating the amount of food I was eating and overestimating the amount I burned. So, to wrap this video up, I know there's not a lot of running in this video, but I hope hearing about my mistakes, especially with food, will help encourage or inspire other people with fitness goals. I hope to encourage or motivate people who want to get into running and are tired of seeing all these young, fit, no trained people on YouTube, all these people doing marathons, you know, with zero training, all that crap. But for the majority of us, that's not real. I know I want to see people that are like myself. I ran last year and I managed to gain weight, but I'm still here and I'm fixing it. And we can all do this together and we can all learn together. And if anybody hopefully learns anything from this video, these are the 2 points I want you to take away. 1, donuts are not the best running partners or just bad eating. And 2, my beginning running pace, if it was ever a movie genre, I think it'd be a romantic comedy. Slow, steady, and well, like me, occasionally a bit cheesy.
All my instincts, they return.
Please like, subscribe, comment. My channel's new, and if you're following along or currently working on similar goals, we'd love to hear from you. If you have any tips for anybody else, please put them in the comments. I love to hear tips. I'm not a professional athlete, trainer, or anything, so sharing that stuff is important and valuable. And with that, please stay safe and keep pushing. Man, I want a donut.
It's not necessarily you're slouching, you're like leaning forward.
It's because I'm blind.